Hello everyone, welcome back to Durbanites FPL. It's time for the Game Week 14 review, Game Week 15 preview. Guys, this is the third game week in 6 days, and I need to be very clear with you. This is Game Week 15. Next week, Game Week 16. After this, deadline closes on Saturday at noon in European time, 1 p.m. South African time. You will have 5 free transfers restored to your team for the AFCON tournament that starts in game week 16. Now, important to know that you will be only restored to a max of 5 free transfers. So if you save free transfers this week, you will get fewer free transfers next week to a total of max of 5. So everybody starts with 5 free transfers next week. Suggestion for you, as the title screen said, use all transfers this week unless you really don't need to. But even then, try and use your transfers. Upgrade your team next week. You're going to get an additional 5 free transfers or up to a max of 5 free transfers that you can use for the AFCON tournament. So just be aware of that before we kick into it. But for now, let's go. Starting with the table, guys, not much change up there. A few switches just under the top, but Roboclop Suat Khan, our young champion to be, has now equaled the record for this year or for this season with 3 consecutive weeks in the number one spot, 19 points clear of Fantasy FC, who have also made a bounce back. Alu Boys dropping. Winchester City is also dropping down there. So Atta needs to back up this week. Quite a bad week. But I didn't have a fairly good week as well. 93 twinning with my sister as well. So 93 points each, the highest that we've had this week. On the back of Erling Haaland, Phil Foden captaincies as well. So things are moving really well. Lots of changes in the table as well. And now we have scores ranging from the 800s all the way down to 400s as well. Now, next, we're looking at the player selections as well. The staples still stay the same. Erling Haaland, 85% of managers owning him. Anton Semenyo is starting to slip now as his form slips and a few blanks start creeping in. And Mickey van der Ven is just holding on. Just one more manager drops him and he is away from the staples count. Then let's look at the differentiators for this week. 6 players adding double figures to specific managers. James Tarkowski, just one manager with getting 10 points from him as well. Jack Grealish with 3 managers getting 11. Ollie Watkins, fantastic comeback, giving 4 managers 13 points. Daniel Munoz coming in with 14 points. Phil Foden, owned by 4 managers as well, coming in with 17 points this week. Fantastic and great captaincy there by Ami to bring in 34 points. Then Mark Gahey owned by 9 managers currently and bringing in 14 points as well. That Crystal Palace defense is excellent, guys. So let's move on to the hits and misses. A lot to see. As you can see, defensive contributions across the way, stonewalls for so many of them. Fatih, myself, Didi, Atta, my pie, Mohammed Sadiq is in there, Ami, Zai, Umer, Ansu, and Squish. Obviously, Squish. But only one iron wall, and that is the leader for this week. 30 plus points in defense for Suad. On the strikers as well, Didi, Azra, Mubs, Umer all picking up at least 20 points. But from the elite strikers, captaincy of Erling Haaland got you 28 already, so anything else would get you more. Suad, Fatih, myself, Hassan, Azra, my pie again, Zach's in there, Mohammed Sadiq in there as well, but only one, Mohammed Amin, the goose, coming up with the golden boot, 40 plus points there with a great pairing of Ollie Watkins and a captaincy of Erling Haaland. Ami coming up good as well. Midfield maestro, 50 plus points thanks to that captaincy of Phil Foden. And Hussein picking up the only hot bench miss of the week, 18 plus points sitting on that bench, unfortunately for him. Now, looking at the best possible selection from the team that we had, Henderson gets the number 1 jersey, putting Pickford on the bench. Similar scores, but better pricing. Tarkowski is in there, Munoz is in there, Riches is in there, Gahey is in there, and Nico Williams is in there. Actually, we could have added one more Crystal Palace defender as well. Unfortunately, the rules state that it can only be 3 from one team, hence he is not in there. Antonio Casemiro gets onto the field as well. 8 points for him. Phil Foden getting the captaincy band, 34 points. And then Jack Grealish in with 11, putting Erling Haaland and Ollie Watkins as the duo pairing there, but no captaincy between them. On the bench, we have Nick Waltermander, Tijani Reinders, and Alex Iwobi, and Jordan Pickford, of course, as the goalkeeper sub. Now, this team would have got you 142 points, 168 with the bench boost, guys, total of 99.5 already for this team. So, very close to max, thanks to Erling Haaland being on the squad, but still affordable, should be for most managers as well. Now we're going on to the matchups for this week. For the next 10 game weeks, there's a lot of greens to pick up there, guys. So just looking at it, suggesting Aston Villa will have a tough time against the log leaders Arsenal, just because Arsenal are so strong, but they do have a chance to topple them and a chance to hit them again in game week 19. So just be aware of that one. Then you've got Chelsea, who, after losing to Leeds, might be a bit shaky. Bournemouth, Newcastle, Manchester City. Coming up, Aston Villa snuck in there as well, and Bournemouth. So it's not an easy run for Chelsea. They have not been firing as well. Cole Palmer just coming back from injury. Not sure if he'll make the difference. João Pedro struggling, Liam Delap struggling. The defense is in all types of disarray. Not sure whether you want to bank on them. Crystal Palace as well. Some tough games coming up ahead. Fulham, Manchester City, Fulham again on the other side of it, and Newcastle as well, and then Spurs, Sunderland, Chelsea. There's quite a few tough games for Palace. However, while they might not be scoring a lot of goals, that defense is either rock solid or picking up defcons for Africa, guys. So I would still suggest that you hang on to those Crystal Palace defenders and possibly look at some other means to goals as well. Now, looking down at the bottom there, Sunderland, who have had a fantastic run in the Premier League so far and seem to be not fearful of any major teams come up against Manchester City. And don't forget, it was the other Manchester team that beat them this season as well. So coming up against City this week, it's a bit of a tough one. Then up to Newcastle, who also are fairly well moving along the way before they have a few other games. Manchester City on the rebound, and then also looking at Tottenham, Brentford, Crystal Palace. So let's see if Sunderland can maintain that. But for now, just caution on those players. Looking at who we favor, Brentford have a fairly good run coming up, a lot of green there ahead of them, and a double against Spurs, who we know are quite leaky currently in defense, unfortunately. Then you've got Fulham, who've got three green fixtures coming up from game week 16 to 18. So within the course of those 13 days, three fixtures for them to score. You're looking at Harry Wilson there possibly as a good option, Sessegnon as well, and of course Emil Smith Rowe, who was a bit of a find last Premier League season. Maybe you want to look at him again. Liverpool still some winnable fixtures along the way, even with their bad form. Let's see if they can turn that around in this run and put Arsenal under pressure before they meet them in game week 21. And then the two Manchester teams, United and City, both with very winnable games, even though their form might not be right there and consistency is an issue, but there are points to be had from those teams. And then Newcastle as well, one of the fan favorites here, guys. The good option now against Burnley. Now, here's an interesting one, and you're going to see it later as well. According to Eddie Howe, Yohan Wissa is back in training. He was very, very coy about whether he would give him a run in the game against Burnley. Fans and streaming channels for Newcastle have been saying that it is very possible that he's going to get some minutes against Burnley, and at least from the training ground, guys, the feedback that is coming back that Yohan Wissa is in scintillating form. He is cracking away at the goals in training and in an 11-a-side behind closed doors match that was had. So it looks like he's coming in good form, fully fit. He's not going to AFCON, by the way. The DRC have confirmed that he's not part of their squad, so he will remain with Newcastle and try and kick off his season. So definitely one that you want to look at as a striking option as this run goes on. Now, when we move from here, let's look at the other players as well. Here's a quick flashing reminder for you guys. You're going to see it there, so please don't blame me. Use all free transfers in this deadline to make sure that you get the max of 5 next week. If not, you will only be topped up to 5. So if you have 4 free transfers left at the end of this deadline, you're just going to get 1 free transfer while everyone else gets 5. So use it smartly. Now, Pope is out for Newcastle. It seems that it's a more serious injury than we thought. So that means that Aaron Ramsdale against Burnley is a pretty good call if that's the way you want to go. Maybe if you're free hitting. Martinez also picked up a knock for Aston Villa. Not sure whether he will come back against his former club Arsenal this weekend. A lot of long-term injuries still there for defenders that we know, but Connor Bradley seems to be coming back for Liverpool, and there's a chance that he will start in right back this week. And then, of course, for Arsenal, you can look at the trouble there. Gabriel is out, Saliba is doubtful, Mosquera is possibly out for another couple of weeks. So they're going to use Hincapié. Not sure if Saliba is going to be brave and come back into the field, or they start using Ben White as a makeshift centre back, guys. This might be a testing time for Arsenal. They go up against an Aston Villa side that shows that they are resilient and can come from behind. Ollie Watkins has just started striking with his brace that he did last weekend. Arsenal's defense are now on shaky ground, and it is very possible that they could be exposed. Murillo is still doubtful for Nottingham Forest, and Sven Botman is now out for Newcastle, unfortunately. But thankfully, the rest of the defenders seem to be up and running, so should not be a big impact there. Our calls for this week, guys: Jurriën Timber, because he's not injured, he should be a lock in Arsenal's defense, and his attacking numbers are always one to be wary of. Daniel Munoz and Lacroix, Maxence Lacroix from Crystal Palace, definitely the choices because of the wingback attacking options, guys. But if you're stuck on prices, because Munoz is quite expensive, you have Mark Gahey that's there, and you have Richards, who's also another option. Any of those Crystal Palace defenses are keeping you in the game when they are on form. Virgil van Dijk still an option because Liverpool looking to bounce back as well. Possibly again a good game coming up this weekend for them. And then of course you've got Josko Guardiola from Manchester City and Nico O'Reilly. Now just to call out on Nico O'Reilly as well. Pep Guardiola has alluded to the fact that he might rest him and give him some breaks, but he says at this moment in time it looks like he is fit enough to play, but he will at some stage rest him so that they don't burn him out. So just be aware of that if you bring him in. From Newcastle, with the range of games coming up and with the strong showing, Malik Tor was doing really well. 2 goals in his last outing against Fulham in that 4-1 win over Fulham. And Tino Livramento looked stellar even against Spurs. Came very close to cracking in a long range shot from just outside the box. Definitely someone that I think, if not for def cons, definitely for the attacking threat is one I would go for. Lewis Hall is also a good option if you're looking at that. The young wingback seems to be doing well, back to full fitness as well, which is excellent to see and causing a lot of trouble down the wing. So let's move on and look at that midfield. So so let's move on and look at that midfield. Um, Declan Rice is now doubtful after picking up a knock in that game against Brentford. And then Leandro Trossard is still doubtful as well, so not sure how many minutes they might get. But Arsenal are pretty stocked up in the midfield, especially in that squad that they are advertising this year, so it should be pretty good. Spurs still have the same issues. Caicedo still suspended after that red card. Rodri is on his way back, but he's still not there. Same with Mitoma and Rutter. Gibbs White as well. Cunha is should start for Manchester United, but he's still looking like he's nursing something. Ismail Assar is definitely out, and Tonali is doubtful for Newcastle. On the picks, guys, Mo Salah has not started the 2 games prior to this. There's a very strong chance that he will start this weekend, so the option there to put him in alongside maybe Soboslai. Shirky and Foden for Manchester City. Foden now with 2 braces back to back, and chances that he might extend that this weekend. Then you've got Antoine Semenyo still holding on to his spot. Basis his early season form, guys, but there are danger signs that it might be slipping and might be the chance for you to make a change, as we indicated on the title screen. Saka, Rice, and Eze still the call-outs for Arsenal. Rice, even with that knock, might still get minutes, guys, but Saka and Eze are doing really well. From Chelsea, it's Enzo and Neto. We would put in Cole Palmer there. We're not 100% sure he's going to get the run that he needs, but that's an option that you might go for if you have 10 million lying around in the bank. Yankuba Minte still, because of injuries, he's the one that's locked in for Brighton and Hove Albion. And then, of course, Bruno Fernandes, and you've got Brian Mbeumo for Manchester United. If you want to use one of those free transfers, you can bring in Brian Mbeumo this weekend as they take on Wolves, who are really struggling in the Premier League, struggling to score as well. So a chance for Manchester United to pick up a much needed win. And of course, Brian Mbeumo will be one of the players that will leave, if not in week 16, in week 17 for the AFCON. So that's the time that you can start using those free transfers. Newcastle, good run of games coming up. They are looking amazing. They're playing good football, exciting football. Such a big threat down that left side by Anthony Gordon or Harvey Barnes. You got to choose one of them, unfortunately, because they do rotate in that position, but both are equally dangerous. Harvey Barnes comes close almost every game to scoring, and Anthony Gordon showed his pace now that he's back from injury and looking really, really strong. Last up, let's look at the forwards, guys. Kai Havertz is still out for Arsenal. Unfortunately, he looked like he was on the way back, but he has regressed. Johan Wissa is now doubtful, but like I say, I've put him on the picks as well because news coming out of the training ground it is that he is flying. And Eddie Howe did hint in his press conference, if you saw it, that he might not be playing or might be playing. He didn't want to reveal anything. I think he's probably going to use him as a secret weapon. Maybe replace Walter up front or use him with Walter slipping into the 10. But I think if Johan Wissa is in as good form as the reports say he is, it's possible he's going to use him as a secret weapon, unleash him, and make sure that he can pick up some goals. So if you feel like you want to take a gamble this week, Johan Wissa might be the one that you want to go with. Solanke, Wood, Shesko, and Muniz are all still out for the foreseeable future. You're looking at them returning maybe early next year, so in the January game weeks. Shesko maybe a little bit earlier, the rest of them still out longer term. In terms of the picks, Haaland will probably stay here all season because his form is just amazing, picking up 14 last week as well. Danny Welbeck for Brighton's doing well, and he's pretty much locked in as the striker. Raul Jimenez for Fulham, if you're looking at that run that they have coming up. Jean-Philippe Mateta, guys, for me, this is the last week that I'm giving him a chance to impress. If not, I will probably drop him and stick with the Palace defense and not really worry about the offense. Maybe because he's missing Ismail Assar's creativity, he's not really returning at this moment in time. For Liverpool, again, it's a toss up between Alexander Isak and Ekitike. They're going to have to share minutes. I don't think they will play together, but they do have a winnable game that they want to go into this weekend, fighting against Leeds. Now, Leeds is a tough team, gave Chelsea a whooping 3-1 midweek. So